Most supply chains are naturally unstable because of a phenomenon known as the bullwhip effect. This is where small changes in demand at the customer end of a supply chain are passed upstream, but at every step this change in demand gets bigger. As a rule of thumb, the demand variation can double every time you pass an order further upstream. This becomes a real problem to maintain supply, especially if you are at the top end of the supply chain where you see the worst of its effects. The bullwhip effect is created when three factors simultaneously come into play. First, the main ingredient is demand uncertainty, where a supplier is not sure how much their customer is going to order. This obviously occurs very commonly. Second, a contributing factor is order lead time, the time difference between when you place an order and get the items. This time delay means that any corrective action to stabilize the system takes time to filter through the supply chain as a whole. The third factor, importantly, is human behavior. If my customer drops their order quantity, I suddenly find that I have too much stock. I've overproduced. I've a further problem in that my suppliers have already received orders from me that I placed days or weeks ago based around a higher sales forecast. And so for a period of time, they are going to continue to supply me with stock that I no longer need. I now severely rein back on my next few orders. My cutback in ordering is greater than the cutback I receive from my customer. This behaviour then cascades back up the supply chain. My supplier sees me cutting back, so they do the same, but to an even greater extent, and so on. And there you have the bullwhip effect. No, it works in both ways. Demand increases generate precisely the same human behaviour, but now we have a shortage of stock and huge upswings in ordering instead of oversupply. In fact, one of the biggest avoidable causes of the bullwhip effect is where sellers, retailers mainly, decide to embark on promotions that deliberately increase demand in the short term. For many products, consumers don't change their usage. They buy when the price is low and stockpile, leading to unnatural peaks and troughs in demand that mess up manufacturers' schedules. The notion of Black Friday as a pre-Christmas sales event is another example of a nightmare set of conditions for many manufacturers in this respect. The bullwhip effect will appear any time you create the conditions for it. However, if you collaborate across the supply chain, working to schedules, sharing information, agreeing on stock policies, and so on, there are ways to keep the supply chain in control as much as possible. This takes a lot of work to pull this off.